reason I said emails because before, back in the day, Anthony and I actually had to go see each client with a proof, where the client could see that printed proof in front of them. So most of our items, it takes about 5 to 7 days, that being business cards, postcards, brochures, but occasionally we do get projects that can take up to months, and the one I'm going to show you today is a project that did take us several months. I get this exciting phone call from Susie with Fitness 180, and the people that do know her know that she's a very abundant joy type person, and she can get you excited just by talking to her. So I walk into her house, and she hands me this piece of, these pieces of paper, and I'm like, what in the heck is this? And she's like, I'm wanting to do an exercise book, and I'm wanting it to be divided into 4 parts, and I'm wanting to be able to flip. That way, you're going to have, the first part's going to be for upper body, the second part's going to be for lower body, the third's going to be for cardio, and the fourth is going to be for abs. And what she was wanting to do is to make it where that person that's doing exercises every day, it's not going to get bored. They could do this exercise with this exercise, and that way they have 4 different exercises every day, and they don't get bored. So immediately I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do this, because we're used to doing normal books, not something like this, not something that's going to be divided into 4 parts. So it took me probably a couple of weeks thinking, how am I going to get this done? I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I may have to go back to Susie and say, okay, I cannot do this. But anyway, finally one morning in the shower I was like, oh, this can be done. This can, because we can't staple the book, and we can't perfect bound it that way, because it will not be able to be spread out. So I thought, okay, we can do this. We can do a spiral bound. That way the book can completely lay out flat, and she's able to go from one to the back, and it's still lay out flat. So I took my idea back to Susie. She loved it and agreed that it could work. So I talked about design with my graphic designer, Eric, and asked him, can we draw exercise people doing all these different exercises? And he said, yeah, but that was going to be very time consuming and very costly, because we charge by the hour, $60 per hour for art. So Susie, being the beautiful person she is, was like, okay, why can't we use Susie as a model? I mean, she's a perfect example of what fit looks like. So I asked her about it, and she was like, oh yeah, that's fine, that's fine. And so I referred Susie to a photographer that I was using at the time, and met with him and her, and we determined, how are we going to do these different poses? We're going to do them inside, outside, what does she need to wear, and everything from there. So he tells her what to wear, and they meet, and they do all these photos, and we're probably into, the 4th week now. So we get the photos back, and I sit down with Susie at her kitchen table, and we're going through each exercise, what picture to use and what not picture to use, and then we're trying to, discuss how are we going to get these directions onto the paper where somebody like me could understand how to do these exercises. And so while we're determining that, we're like, oh my gosh, we need a logo. So we hadn't even thought about the logo. So we are sitting there thinking, what are we going to call the book? And so she was like, well, since there's 60 seconds, we do each exercise for 60 seconds, I would like to call it 60-second circuits. And I was like, that's a great idea. And then we were like, okay, what about the logo? So we determined that we would do the logo kind of in the shape of a stopwatch, since you have to use a stopwatch to do the 60 seconds. So that's how we came up with the logo and the 60 seconds in that stopwatch look. So after we got that part done, it was time, to get it to Eric, to get him to start bringing the photos in, and start laying it out where we can actually see what the book's going to look like. And after many electronic proofs, that's where this email comes in, back and forth between Susie and Eric and I, I bet that was like 3 weeks there. And still in the back of my mind, I don't tell Susie this, but I'm still not 100% sure this is going to work, because this is still something I have not done, But I'm like very confident I'll figure out some way to do it. So finally I have the electronic proofs, and I'm actually able to print it out, and we cut them down into pieces, and we come out with our first proof. This is actually the very first proof that I gave to Susie for her to look through and make her corrections and everything, and I was like, this is going to work. This is going to work. I was so excited when I gave her this. So the changes went back and forth, several times, and this is probably 3 or 4 weeks there. And finally, we're getting ready to go to the press, and we're sitting there thinking, you get sweaty when you're exercising. So we determined, okay, we probably need to laminate this. So that added another thing there. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to laminate these into, they're big sheets. So anyway, because we run them 8 sheets up. So finally, we determined, okay, once they come off the press, we'll run them through our laminator. We've got this big laminator, 1 sheet at a time. And that took a while. And then we cut them down to 8.5 by 11 pieces, and then split that up into 4 pieces. And we had to hand collate each page. But this is the finished project. This is actually one I'm very proud of, because I got to see this come from her kitchen table to an actual piece. So a great referral for me this week is that stay-at-home mom with a dream that she wants to get onto printed paper, and I can help her with that. Kathy, the McStatts Printing, more just ink on paper.